I'm a big dog, big bear, nigga, I'm a lion. I'm the predator of the prey that is hiding. Oh my, I have found you, nigga. Don't you run from me, little nigga. You are not fast enough. You are not brave enough. You are out of luck. Now it's time for you to die very rough.
Welcome back, my friends, to Representation Without Tokenization. Sorry for the short hiatus, but even someone as great and as powerful as me needs to take a break from the internet every once in a while. So originally I wanted to make an anime video, kinda switch things up on the channel a little bit, but I've decided to put it on hold as there are more pressing matters that need my attention. To be more precise, in this episode of Representation Without Tokenization, we will be talking about gay representation in our entertainment. Now, I don't personally mind there being gay representation in things like TV shows, movies, books, video games, etc, etc. I also have no quarrel with people who are gay in actual life. Like, hey, if you're a guy and you like other guys, then by all means, have yourself a sausage fest. Or if you're a chick that prefers the P over the D, then by all means, eat that pie up good. What I am not a fan of, however, is when gay representation is ham-fisted and meant to be crammed down our throats and out our buttholes when it comes to the things that we enjoy. Having said that, you guys know I like to keep it 100 on this channel, so let me start off by saying something controversial but truthful. So the LGBT community has got to be one of the biggest hypocritical communities in the world. Not all of them, of course. In fact, I know quite a few people who are gay or some variant of gay that are actually pretty cool. But for the majority of the community, I would say, yeah, they got some issues. Like, this is the same community that keeps on saying love is love, be who you want to be, stop hate, and all this other. But if I'm not up for doing anything sexual with another male, then that suddenly makes me homophobic. Or if I'm not up for dating a transgender woman, then I'm a transphobe. While people who are also straight would understand what I'm saying, the alphabet mafia would shame the shit out of me. But if the situation were in reverse, and I, a straight male, tried to get with a lesbian, and she tried to explain to me that she's only into women, and I call her a heterophobe and all these other names, then I'm just gonna look crazy. Nobody's gonna come to my defense, straight or gay. Rightfully so, because it doesn't make sense to try to get with somebody who has a preferred sexual preference that I do not fit into. But God forbid I don't want to kiss a dude or anything. Then at that point it's practically war. And that's just one example of hypocrisy coming from this community. Another example would be how they choose to celebrate their preferred sexual preference. For example, with like the gay pride parade. Now I've always thought that the gay pride parade was pretty stupid because like, why do you need a whole parade to let people know that you fuck the same gender? Like, I personally don't see any purpose for it, but hey, they're here, they're queer, whatever, go have yourself a gay old time. However, then came up the idea of having a straight pride parade, and the LGBT community just lost their shit. Like, they absolutely hate the idea of a straight pride parade. Now, me personally, I think the straight pride parade is equally as stupid as the gay pride parade. Like, I don't need a whole parade to let people know that I love women. However, I do love how it exposes the double standard. Again, people that are LGBT will go up in arms when it comes to a straight pride parade, and when I hear that, I wonder to myself, but what happened to love is love? Like, if you can take pride in being homosexual, why can't somebody like me who is straight take pride in the fact that they are heterosexual? Or to give another example, when somebody comes out of the closet and admits that they're gay or lesbian or want to get a sex change, then they are championed and praised. But if I came out of the closet and identified as super straight, meaning that I only like biological women, not men masquerading as women, then all of a sudden I'm problematic. I'm just like, but I came out of the closet too. How come I'm not getting a statue erected in my honor? I mean, I already should be. I'm the emperor, for Christ's sakes. But maybe one with a super straight name plaque on it. Also, remember to use the proper pronouns, Lord and Master. Now, some of you are probably thinking, but my liege, what does this have to do with anything? You should be talking about Tim Drake. To which I would say, patience, my friend. I'm getting there. And believe me, I'm saving the best for last. But I suppose I should get into the meat and potatoes of things, so here we go. So one of the things that I do hate is when they take a character that's already gay and still turn them into a tokenized version of themselves. Now, if you've been watching me, you know that one of the shows, one of the comics that I do enjoy is Invincible. And in the Invincible comic, Mark has a friend named William who is a gay character, but he started out straight until he came out of the closet midway through the run. And him coming out of the closet didn't really take away from his character. He was simply a dude that liked other dudes, and that was it. In the cartoon adaptation on Amazon Prime, however, his whole personality is, I am the gay character. Now granted, William isn't a super important character in the Invincible comics outside of being Mark's best friend, but still, did they have to fumble the ball this badly? If they wanted to start him off as gay, I'd be fine with that, but don't just make him gay and give give him no other qualities beyond that. Like guys, even a minor character still has to feel like a character, but William in the show does not feel like a character, he feels like a prop for the LGBT community to gawk at, and that is sad. But anyway, let's talk about some gay representation in live action. Now admittedly, I don't know a whole lot about live action depictions of gay representation, so I'm just gonna talk about what I know. Starting with my favorite TV network, the CW. Now before I get started, let me just say that the CW fucks up all relationships, whether they be hetero or homo. But since we are talking about homosexuality here, that's what we're going to talk about. That being said, back when I was watching Supergirl, I watched a couple of episodes on season 2 and then I gave up because it was just so damn stupid. So in the second season of Supergirl, Supergirl's adoptive sister, Alex, comes out of the closet as a lesbian. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but the way they went about it was so fucking dumb. Okay, so first off, let's talk about her love interest at the time, Maggie, who I believe is supposed to be Maggie Sawyer. She and Alex will occasionally do some work together on cases, and Alex is starting to develop some feelings for Maggie. And like I said, they're doing it in this coming out of the closet kind of way. And keep in mind, throughout this subplot, her father is missing. Originally it was thought that her dad was dead, but no, he's actually alive, and he just needs to be rescued somehow, some way. But that doesn't seem to be a huge priority for Alex. Her main concern was wanting to fuck Maggie, at least in the few episodes that I saw. And at one point, this bitch takes time off work, not to better find her dad, but to come to terms with the fact that she is a lesbian. Now, on top of that being bad storytelling, and I hate to be that guy, but fuck it, I'm gonna be that guy, this takes place in 2016, not 1965, meaning that in the time period she's living in, it is fucking okay to come out as a lesbian. Now, if you wanna have a subplot where a character is coming out of the closet, that's fine, but have that shit last like 3 episodes at the most. And don't treat your characters like schoolgirls in the 1920s, okay? Especially if she hasn't been raised by like a family with strict Christian values, and has never been shown to have any love interest in the past. But moving on from her, there is another LGBT character from the Flowverse that really grinds my gears, and I'm talking about the character that is supposed to be Mr. Terrific, aka Michael Holt, aka Curtis Holt in the show. Now the character of Curtis Holt is drastically different from how he is in the comics. He was this awkward, nerdy ass dude, and he's also gay. He's also one of the most annoying dudes in the show. One of the reasons why that is because I believe it was in season 4, I'm not quite sure anymore, it's been a while since I've seen the show, I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, during one of these seasons, Curtis is helping Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow, fight crime, because I guess he just can't do it by himself anymore, I don't know, I forget, like I said, it's been a while. But one of the things that I do remember profusely is that whenever Curtis tried to help Oliver fight crime, he would constantly get his ass kicked. And I was rooting for the person kicking his ass! Because this dude couldn't fight, he couldn't adapt, he couldn't do anything. He was smart, like he's good at inventing things, and that's probably the only thing that him and his comic book counterpart have in common. Now I don't know if he ever made the T-Spears or not, but at the time I was watching, he didn't have them. But anyway, he's fucking trash. And at one point in the show, his boyfriend, Paul, finds out what he's been doing, and he's like, okay, you need to cut this shit out, or we're over. And Curtis, instead of doing the sensible thing and being like, yeah, okay, fine, he instead chooses to be a crime fighter over his boyfriend, which I might be able to understand if he was actually contributing something here, but he wasn't. At most, he was just fodder for other enemies to fight while Oliver went off and did his thing. Like, imagine this, right? Imagine if Spider-Man Peter Parker never got bit by the spider, but Uncle Ben still got shot and he still wanted to be a crime fighter and all that shit. And instead of doing anything impactful, he just kinda got his ass beat all the time. And Mary Jane confronted him about this and told him he needs to cut this shit out or they're breaking up. And Peter continues to fight crime even though he sucks at it. Now that would make for a pretty shit storyline, wouldn't it? Like, they did Mr. Terrific dirty in the fucking show, man. Like, it's bad enough that you take a prominent black character to do this bullshit with, but then you turn him gay for no reason other than to have a prominent gay character on the show, I guess? So it's kind of like a middle finger to both black people and gay people. Now, I've said it before and I will certainly say it again. Piss off, CW. Moving away from the CW though, a character that did get changed to be a lesbian character is Queen Maeve from The Boys TV show. Now, for those of you that don't know, The Boys is actually a comic book series in which Queen Maeve is not a lesbian, or at the very least it's not stated that she's a lesbian character, but she is a lesbian in the show, and I feel like they did that for the sake of giving Queen Maeve more characterization than what she had in the comic, which I wouldn't have minded that. After all, she doesn't have any real clear clear-cut love interest in the comic book. However, then the show fucks that shit up. Let me explain. Now, if you've seen this show, you're probably familiar with the infamous plane scene that took place during the first season. Queen Maeve and Homelander lead those people to die on the plane. It's tragic. Well, in the second season, Queen Maeve found footage of that event some fucking how, and her girlfriend had found the footage that she had found of said event, and discovered that her and Homelander let all those people die, and so she dumps Queen Maeve. So Queen Maeve, being all depressed, decides that, well, I'm just gonna sleep with some random dudes to get over it. And that's where I was like, okay, you lost me, show. I mean, you've lost me a couple of times, but you really lost me here. Because if you want me to believe that Maeve and Helena, that being her girlfriend, loved each other, then Maeve's reaction to getting dumped should not be, well, let me go ahead and sleep with the first couple of people I can find. Now, I get that they were probably trying to have an homage to how she is in the comics, but again, let me explain why it's still bullshit. So, in the comic book version of events, the scene with the plane does happen, but it takes place on 9/11, and that was going to be one of the planes that was going to crash into the Twin Towers. But the Seven show up and try to stop that from happening by taking care of the hijackers and saving the plane. But because the Seven are just starting out at this point in their career, they are completely untrained and don't know how to handle this situation, and so it ends up being a complete clusterfuck. I'm not going to get into it in this video, I'll save that for another video down the line, but in the book they epically fail to save that plane. And because of that monumental failure, in the comic book, Queen Maeve is an alcoholic and a bit of a slut. So in the comic, her actions are a bit more justifiable, whereas in the show, it's like, oh, I just got dumped, so time to give it to whoever wants it. But moving on, one of the things I hate is when people try to claim that there is an implication that a character or characters are gay, despite the fact that there is no proof to back up that claim. One of the biggest examples of this is one of the newer movies by Disney or Pixar, Disney or whatever, is that film Luca, which is based around these two boys, Luca and Alberto, who are really good best friends. But the LGBT cult believed that there was some sort of gay undertones in the film regarding these two boys. And that simply is not the case. I didn't see anything in that movie that would have me to believe that either of those boys are gay, let alone gay for each other. And even the filmmakers came out and said, no, they are not meant to be gay. And the Alphabet Mafia lost their shit, claiming that the filmmakers were being homophobic and they don't understand gay people and blah blah blah. But the thing is, you guys were the ones that chose to grasp at straws, and you decide you're going to get mad when you're being told that what you believe isn't true. And let me be frank here, I'm not saying that I don't believe in the death of the offer clause, but seeing as characters like Alberto and Luca not being gay does not disrupt the story in any way, then the death of the offer clause is unnecessary, because you are seeing what you want to see, not what actually is. Because you see, the LGBT community does not care about equality, they care about superiority. They want so badly to be the majority, and so they will bitch and whine until the person that told them no is either cancelled or gives in to their demands. For example, I used to watch this show called Ruby until I realized it fucking sucks. So Ruby centers around these four girls, Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang. And currently, Blake and Yang are a couple without the show actually saying that they're a couple, which wouldn't be bad if it wasn't for how it was done. You see, in the show, Blake originally had the love interest of Sun in the earlier seasons, but in the later seasons, they decided that it was going to be Blake and Yang that were going to end up being a couple. The problem is, there's no real resolution to Blake and Sun, both of which have shown signs of liking each other in the past, but now that has been put on the back burner for the sake of Blake getting together with someone else in a ship pairing that was created first and foremost by the fandom of Ruby. And despite the fact that Monte Oum, the creator of Ruby, came out and said that these four girls are like sisters going on this journey together, the showrunners disregarded this after Monte had passed away for the sake of appeasing fans that wanted the pairing to happen. But it wasn't properly set up, and so it just feels half-assed. But that's none of my business. One of the things that people have probably noticed is that when it comes to changing a character's sexuality, they will primarily choose the women over the men. And the reason they'll do that is because, and let's just be honest here, people are more comfortable seeing two women get it on as opposed to two men getting it on. Not saying that there isn't a demand for gay men, but it is easier to catch flies with honey than it is with vinegar. For example, a lesbian relationship that has taken the world by storm over the years has got to be Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. Now, some people will say that this is a relationship that has been forming ever since the animated series, and let me just say, that sounds like a load of dung. I've seen the animated series. I own the animated series. Never once has there been any genuine proof that these two liked each other like that in the entirety of the show. Even the showrunners themselves have come out and said, no, they did not mean to imply that Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are in a relationship, or even forming a relationship. See, what you have to understand here, my friends, is that it is much easier to pass off two best friends that are women as people that are getting romantic with each other than it is to do the same with two men that are just best friends. They take advantage of this in media all the time, but for now let's just stay focused on Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. So Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy really didn't start getting together until the New 52 era comic and beyond. But this wasn't done because this was the natural course of things for Harley Quinn. This hasn't been a long time coming for the Harley Quinn character. This was done as a publicity stunt for the sake of boosting her comic book sales. Because let's be honest here, the only interesting things about the Harley Quinn character are her sex appeal and her relationships. Sure, it might be funny to see her team up with a more serious character like Batman or members of the Suicide Squad, but on her own, she really ain't shit. Now that's not to say that all publicity stunts in comics are bad, nor are they all centered around gay representation. Publicity stunts have been happening in comics for years. However, nowadays, a character being gay, bi, or whatever is nothing more than a publicity stunt as opposed to just a part of who they are. And Harley was one of the first characters to get this treatment. Though I will say, I feel like most people can get behind Harley Quinn's sexuality change as opposed to, oh, I don't know. How about Robert Bobby Drake, aka the Iceman from X-Men Comics? So for those of you that don't know, a while back, Marvel Comics had the ever so excellent idea to turn Iceman gay for literally no reason other than the fact that they could. Keep in mind, he's not bisexual, he's full-blown gay. Though they try to make it seem as though he's just been in the closet this whole time and has only been showing interest in women to cover up the fact that he is both a mutant and gay. Problem is, we have all this publication of Bobby being the exact opposite of gay, with Kitty Pryde being kind of his on-again, off-again girlfriend, with him never once even implying that he has a thing for men. So all this time he was with all these other girls, he was just playing with their emotions for the sake of making sure nobody knew he was gay? Why even fucking date anybody then? Why not have just dated a dude and kept it on the down low? It's a very stupid ass change that isn't justified at all. Also, Kitty Pryde is now bisexual because nobody is straight. You're either bisexual or you're gay. No, really, look it up. The LGBTQIA plus XYZ cheat code science confirms it. Alright, now let's talk about what y'all want to hear me talk about. Time to get into it, my friends. Let's talk about Tim Drake, aka Robin, now being a champion of the gays community. So my thoughts on Tim Drake coming out as gay, bisexual, are basically the same as how I feel about Iceman. Like, it just comes out of nowhere, and it's completely unnecessary. They're just doing this for the sake of getting clout from people who are never going to read these comics. And when you confront people about how nonsensical this is, they like to counter by talking about the friendship that Superboy Connor Kent has with Tim Drake. And to that I have to say, guys, if you have a really amazing friendship with someone of the same gender, then people may see you as gay from time to time. This happens all the time between men and women, when really you're probably just two good friends having a really good time. Tim Drake and Superboy being gay for each other, and listen to me because I know some people are gonna get lost here, was a joke. People were just having a laugh. Nobody was really expecting Tim Drake to be gay in the slightest. It's kind of like how in Dragon Ball Z, there was a joke going around that Goku is a terrible dad, and people just kept repeating that joke until it became the truth, until it became canonized. The problem is that prior to it becoming canonized, nobody has any definitive proof to what they are saying. Contrary to popular belief, the imaginary truth makes for very realistic lies. He's not even going out with Superboy, he's going out with some random bloke that nobody knows. Hey, anybody remember Stephanie Brown? You know, Tim Drake's main squeeze? The chick that he was so devoted to, he was willing to help her raise a baby that wasn't even his? No? Okay, I mean, I guess she's not a character then. Tons of history between these two, but you know what, let's just ignore that. The biggest problem that people like me have with changing a character's sexuality so suddenly is the fact that it goes past the statute of limitation. Like, he's not just some newbie character that came out just a couple of years ago. Tim Drake has been around the block for decades, and you're just now telling me that he's into dudes. Forgive me if that seems just a little unbelievable at this point. Like, if you're gonna play for character sexuality, then said character would have had to have no love interest whatsoever, at least given some thought to being with a character of the same sex, or just being outright gay from the start. The fact that a character has been running for like 10 plus years and beyond, and there have been no hints to them being gay in the slightest, then yeah, it's too late to convince me that that character is anything beyond straight. So changing their sexuality for no reason isn't gonna fly. Also, going back to Superboy and Tim Drake's friendship, what is wrong with two people of the same sex being just friends? Like, why can't I just go out with one of my guy friends and have a good time and not be seen as gay? Like, you see this all the time nowadays in media with two two characters that are really close and they're the same gender, but they can't just care about each other like brothers or like sisters. They have to have some sort of implication that they are gay. Now, it's bad enough back when guys and girls couldn't be friends, but now girls can't just be friends with other girls. Guys can't just be friends with other guys. There is no middle ground. There is no such thing as a platonic relationship. Also, and let's be real here. Let's be 130% real right here. For the people who are saying that Tim Drake coming out of the closet is so great and so amazing for his character, they would not be saying the same thing if we took a predominant LGBT character and turned them from gay to straight. They do not want to keep that same energy when the shoe is on the other foot. Because, and this might shock some people, just like how there are straight people that are actually gay, there are gay people that are actually straight. But the Council of Gays do not want those stories to be told, because if they are told, well, then it makes them feel less special. In order to make themselves feel more special, they want characters that were previously established as straight and Thanos snapped them into a whole nother sexuality. Now, you can have gay representation in things, but it has to be done properly, instead of just doing it for the sake of appeasing your gay overlords. Like, think about the people that we talked about in this video. The sexuality changes done to the people in this video were either done poorly or should not have been done at all. I'm not saying fuck gay people, I'm saying fuck your tokenization. Anyway, Tim Drake coming out of the closet makes about as much sense as going to work hoping you don't get paid, because I don't know anybody that's gonna pay for this shit. But let me know what you guys think. Am I just being a homophobic bigot, or could it possibly be that we deserve representation without tokenization? As always, if you liked anything I had to say, don't forget to hit the like and click subscribe. Also, follow me on these social media platforms. You wouldn't want to commit treason now, would you?